The alien fleet emerged from the void, silent and shimmering like a constellation of stars reborn. Their arrival was not subtle. Dozens of warships, each a marvel of engineered elegance, hung in orbit above Earth like gods waiting for worship. They had come expecting first contact protocols, cultural exchanges, cautious negotiations. Instead, they got silence. Not the kind that came from fear or ignorance, but the silence of something ancient stirring beneath the surface. Humanity didn't scramble fighter squadrons or send out panic transmissions. No fleets rose to meet them. No politicians broadcast declarations of peace or defiance. Just quiet. Then, a message. Simple, cold, precise. You may enter orbit. Do not deviate. No greeting. No request for intent. No questions. It was a statement, an acknowledgement that they were being allowed to be here. The aliens hesitated. The humans had no history of interstellar diplomacy. Until now, they were considered primitive, isolated, irrelevant. And yet, this transmission carried no desperation, no awe, just control. A diplomatic shuttle was dispatched. No escort, no weapons, just a single vessel descending toward the blue marble below. As it entered the upper atmosphere, sensors picked up anomalies, structures in orbit that hadn't been there moments ago. Massive constructs, angular and unfamiliar, humming with energy signatures unlike anything recorded before. They weren't satellites, not in any conventional sense. They were watching, waiting. The shuttle landed at what appeared to be an ordinary spaceport, at least on the surface. But as the delegation stepped out, their translator chips flickered, struggling to process the language being spoken around them. Not just human languages, English, Mandarin, Arabic, but something older. Something carved into stone long before Rome rose or pyramids were built. The humans greeted them with calm professionalism. No handshakes, no smiles, just nods as if acknowledging the inevitable. A voice spoke, not through speakers but directly into their minds. "Welcome. You are observed." One of the aliens, a tall figure wrapped in ceremonial armor, tried to speak. His words were polite, formal, rehearsed. He introduced himself, his empire, offered gifts of knowledge and trade. The humans listened. Then one of them, a woman in a simple black uniform, stepped forward. She looked at him like he was a child trying to explain fire. "You assume we don't know who you are," she said. "That we haven't seen your wars, your treaties, your betrayals. We have watched longer than your empires have existed." The alien blinked. "You what?" Another voice joined hers, deeper, male. "We hid ourselves not because we feared you, but because you were not ready." And then the sky changed. Above them, cloaking fields dissolved, revealing ships the size of moons. Vast, unmoving, ancient. Hulls scarred by time and battle. Symbols etched into metal that predated every known civilization. One ship alone could vaporize the entire alien fleet in seconds. The diplomat staggered back. "This is impossible." "No," the woman said. "It's inevitable." Behind her, the sky darkened further as more ships descended from hidden orbits. Not just new models, old ones, forgotten ones. Ships whose names were myths whispered across 100 species. Ships thought to be legends. The alien delegation stared upward, hearts pounding. Humanity had never been late to the galactic stage. They had simply been waiting in the wings. A low hum vibrated through the air, not from any visible source, but as if space itself was resonating with something ancient stirring. The alien delegation stood frozen, eyes locked on the colossal warships descending like titans from the void. These weren't just ships. They were monuments, floating relics of a power long buried beneath layers of myth and time. Then came the data burst. It wasn't transmitted through conventional channels. It arrived embedded directly into their systems, bypassing firewalls like they didn't exist. Streams of information flooded their neural interfaces. Videos, schematics, star charts, battle logs. Civilizations long thought extinct had names now. Ruins scattered across the galaxy? Not alien at all. Human-built, abandoned, forgotten. The aliens tried to shut it out, but the data demanded to be seen. They watched footage of early human colonies stretching back millions of years. Cities carved into asteroids, megastructures orbiting dead stars, fleets that once patrolled the edges of known space before vanishing without a trace. This wasn't recent expansion. Humanity had been here first, and then, for reasons unknown, they disappeared. Not destroyed, not exiled, gone. On purpose. The records showed it all. Wars fought in the dark between empires that no longer existed. Conflicts humanity walked away from, leaving only ruins behind. Some species had even worshipped them, weaving legends of gods who fell from the sky and vanished when their work was done. One file caught the eye of the lead diplomat, a ship designation, Aegis Prime. He recognized the name. Every scholar did. It was said to be the first great warship of the lost civilization that ruled the stars before the oldest empires rose. Its disappearance marked the beginning of the so-called Dark Silence, an era where no one could explain why entire fleets suddenly stopped responding. And now there it was, hanging in Earth's orbit like a sleeping leviathan, its armor scorched by time and battle, its weapons offline, but still more terrifying than anything in the alien fleet's arsenal. A single broadside from Aegis Prime could erase half the diplomatic armada before they even registered the threat. The humans didn't gloat, didn't boast. They simply stood beside this impossible legacy, calm and unshaken. Another message appeared in their minds. You assume history begins with your records. You are wrong. More files poured in. Genetic markers found across dozens of species. Ancient human bloodlines woven into the very fabric of galactic life. Some of the beings standing among the delegation carried fragments of human DNA, unknowingly descended from explorers who had walked these stars when Earth was young. One of the aliens whispered, "You seeded us?" A voice answered, not from the humans around them, but from somewhere deeper, older. "We left seeds. What grew was never ours to control." The realization hit like a solar flare. Humanity hadn't been hiding because they were weak. They had been waiting for the galaxy to remember, to grow, to understand what it meant to stand in the shadow of those who came before. And now the silence was over. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, not as gods, but as something far more dangerous, as something inevitable. Across the galaxy, panic and awe spread like a shockwave. The revelation shattered centuries of assumptions. Humanity wasn't a new player stumbling into the galactic stage. They were the first players, the forgotten architects of history, returning from silence with power that made empires tremble. News hubs overloaded trying to process the data flood. Holographic headlines burned across planetary surfaces in 100 languages. Humans reveal ancient fleets. Our history is their footnote. They were here before us. Analysts argued. Historians wept. Religious leaders declared it prophecy fulfilled. Across thousands of worlds, civilizations that once dismissed humanity as primitive now scrambled to reassess everything they thought they knew. Some factions moved fast. The Virex Dominion, long known for its aggressive expansion, issued an immediate recall of border fleets. Their warlords debated whether to strike first or flee. But before they could decide, a single human ship appeared in their core system. An old dreadnought, silent and unmoving. No weapons fired. No ultimatum given. Just presence. And then, a message. You are not our concern. The words hit harder than any declaration of war. Other species reacted differently. The Falzari Collective, once proud conquerors who had enslaved human outposts generations ago, issued desperate apologies through every diplomatic channel available. Their council chambers erupted into chaos. Some demanded reparations. Others feared retribution. But the humans didn't respond. Not with anger. Not with force. Just observation. Judgment without condemnation. Then came the opportunists. The Corin Syndicate, a vast interstellar trade empire, attempted to broker exclusive deals with human officials, offering wealth beyond measure in exchange for technology. Within hours, their central hub was infiltrated not by soldiers but by code. Every secret, every hidden ledger, every crime committed over centuries was broadcast across their networks. Their influence crumbled overnight. The message was clear: we do not trade with thieves. Meanwhile, cults formed overnight. The Church of the First Flame, previously a fringe belief system on 7 worlds, exploded into prominence. They claimed humanity was divine, the original stewards of creation. Pilgrims gathered at orbital shrines, staring at Earth's blue glow from light years away, whispering prayers to gods who never answered. But not all reactions were fear or worship. Some saw opportunity. The Orvini Accord, a coalition of smaller species long overshadowed by larger empires, reached out with cautious hope. They offered alliance, not of conquest, but of mutual growth. To their surprise, a response came. A simple acknowledgement: we remember your kind. No promises, no guarantees, but it was enough. Back on Earth, the alien delegation remained frozen in place, watching the galaxy react to something they still barely understood. One of them finally spoke, voice trembling. They're not just powerful, they're inevitable. A human beside him nodded. They always have been. Above them, more ships continued to emerge from hiding, ancient and silent. Humanity was no longer waiting in the wings. They had stepped forward, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy changed, not with fire and war, but with quiet inevitability. Humanity did not claim thrones or demand submission. They simply existed again, and in that existence, the old order shifted like tectonic plates beneath a sleeping ocean. Across thousands of worlds, the ripples spread. Some species adapted quickly, rewriting histories, revising laws, adjusting their place in a cosmos they suddenly understood far less than they thought. Others resisted, clinging to pride, to power, to the belief that they could still dictate the rules of this new reality. But time showed them otherwise. Humanity did not conquer. They did not need to. They returned. And in their return, they brought balance, not through force alone, but through presence, through knowledge, through the weight of history pressing down on those who had built their empires atop forgotten ruins. On Earth, life continued as it always had. Cities pulsed with light. Oceans whispered ancient secrets. Children played beneath skies that now held more meaning than before. The revelation had not shattered humanity. It had merely reminded them of who they were. In orbit, the great fleets remained silent, unmoving, watching, not as invaders, not as liberators, but as guardians. A council was formed not to rule but to coordinate. A human-led coalition of species who wished to walk forward together, not in fear, but in understanding. No one was forced to join. No threats were made. Only an invitation. If you wish to stand among us, then do so with honor. Some accepted. Others chose solitude, retreating into their own systems, watching from afar. Humanity let them be. They had waited millennia for the galaxy to grow up. They would wait longer if needed. Back on the alien homeworld of the first delegation, scholars gathered in secret chambers, poring over the data humanity had shared. It was not all given freely, only fragments, pieces meant to teach, not overwhelm. Still, even a fraction of human knowledge reshaped entire fields of science, philosophy, warfare. One elder, his voice trembling with awe, whispered to his peers, "We are not the first. We may never be the greatest, but perhaps we can learn." And that perhaps was the point. Across the stars, new myths began to form, not of gods but of resilience, a patience, of a species that had walked away from empire not out of weakness but wisdom, that had watched civilizations rise and fall like seasons, waiting for the right moment to return. In the deep void beyond known space, ancient ships still drifted, silent and unseen, waiting, not for war, not for conquest, but for the day they might be needed again. For now, peace held, not because anyone feared humanity, but because everyone respected them. And above it all, hanging in orbit around Earth like a monument to something eternal, Aegis Prime remained awake, its engines dormant, its weapons cold, but its message clear. Humanity is watching. Humanity remembers. And this time, we're not leaving.